Hey, it's Tim.
And it's Amy from Go with Less. We're glad you're here. Happy 2022! In today's video, we're sharing the facts and figures from our 2021. We hope you watch the whole video.
In 2015, Amy and I retired in our late 40s, and in January of 2020, we sold our home and became full-time nomads. Every Wednesday, here on our channel, we are talking about our nomadic fire life.
We hope you'll give today's video a thumbs up. Subscribe over here for those Wednesday videos. And we're going to get talking all about our 2021. But there's something that's going to be missing in this week's video, and that is our spending. That gets its own video, and that's going to be next Wednesday. So make sure that you are looking for that. And we're going to get into a lot of numbers and maps and analytics and everything in today's video. But first, we're going to start with just a little assessment of the pros and cons of our year.
Yeah, so I get to start with the cons. So I don't know why it is that I get the bad stuff.
I think you picked it.
Okay, I picked the bad stuff. So we're going to start by saying that 2021 was a weather fail for us. We were seeking 75 degrees at all moments, and it didn't deliver all throughout the year. So it started out with the Texas tundra, the crazy snowstorms that happened in Texas, and then it moved on to Maryland. We had crazy cicadas. Then we went to New York, where it was incredibly hot. I think record-setting heat we had in New York. We came to Mexico, and it was flooding in Mexico. We went to Philly, and there's crazy flooding in Philly. So we had just weather fails throughout the year. And the year, for the most part, and this is another sort of con, it felt a little like we're still sort of waiting to launch our plan. We just can't sort of get where we want to go. But
and that's because of COVID.
And that's because of COVID.
Specifically because of COVID.
That's
Things
exactly
are still closed where we wanted to be visiting. We were supposed to visit Southeast Asia again this past year, and that obviously not happening. Not happening. So I get to do the good stuff, the pros. Okay, number one, because we were in the United States, we got to spend a lot of time with both sets of my parents. That was unexpected and really one of the best things of the whole year. So we were near my dad and stepmom for 3 whole months near Washington, D.C. If you haven't seen our conversation with them on the video, make sure to check it out up here because they have a really cool story. And then not only did we see my mom and stepdad where they live in Charlotte, but they came out and met us in 2 cool places. So that was really fun. Tim and I, we both got our COVID vaccine in this springtime. And even before that, at the early part of 2021, we got our 2 shingles vaccinations, which was covered because we were in Texas. It was covered by our health insurance in 2021, which was the Texas ACA.
Those are very expensive.
Yeah, they're like $300 a shot. So for 2 shots, 2 people, we feel like that was a good thing. And then while we were in Texas, I had surprise major surgery. And I think we look at that as almost like a silver lining because it happened in a place where we have very good health insurance, Texas. And so that was taken care of. We sold our car in November. So we finally did launch. We were supposed to sell it back in June of 2020. We waited because of COVID, and we've been driving all over the United States with it. And finally we got to launch and sell that car in early November. Thrilled to be done with that. And then let's see. Oh, and then this is a huge one. I think this is one of the biggest wins that you might relate to here for the year is that in May the Go With Less Facebook group was created, and that is just connecting people all over the world. Every single time I see a viewer or member or group meet up, gives me the warm fuzzies. And we have met well over 100 viewers, members, now friends on the road. So that was what a surprise. The day that it launched, we had 700, 1,000 people in the first day, and it's been busy every single day ever since, and really engaged. And I absolutely love that group.
Yeah. So to net out our year, I think it was a fantastic year, even though the weather wasn't great and we weren't doing some of the things we wanted to do. We had just had an incredible time.
Yeah, it was
so
a good year.
The things that did happen in the year worked out to be great stuff.
So let's get going with where we've been. So stay tuned for a recap of our 2021 where we've been.
We started our 2021 ending a wonderful house sit in Scottsdale, Arizona. Got in the car with an overnight in Texas and ended in Georgetown. We were there for a full month on a house sit, just 30 minutes north of Austin, and then drove just an hour or 2 to Boerne, Texas, part of the hill country suburb of San Antonio. We rented a friend's apartment for 6 weeks while she was volunteering on a safari in South Africa. This is where I had my surgery, where we had the big Texas snowstorm, and then we had a 4-day drive to Silver Spring, Maryland for a 12-week house sit. Silver Spring is a suburb of Washington, D.C. We were there during the springtime, which was just glorious. Visited my parents for 12 weeks, which was just great, and met a lot of Go With Less folks, which was just great fun. The owner came home for a couple days in the middle of that stay, so we left and just did a little road trip with my mom and stepdad to Colonial Williamsburg, beautiful in the springtime, headed to Chappaqua, New York after that to spend 3 weeks with my college roommate, some visiting and a house sit for her, and then to Philadelphia where we dropped off our car with one of our viewer friends and got on an airplane for our very first trip since COVID, since March of 2020, and we went to Querétaro, Mexico. We spent 5 days in this UNESCO World Heritage City, loved it. Another hour or so drive to San Miguel de Allende for a house sit where we celebrated my birthday, had lots and lots of good friend time there, and then 5 nights in Guanajuato where we met lots of our old friends, made lots of new friends, had so much fun there. All 3 of these are beautiful UNESCO World Heritage cities to visit, and then we made our way back to the United States for a house sit with an overnight connection in Houston, and we were in Philadelphia for that house sit for 3 full weeks. We had so much to do in Philadelphia, had a wonderful house sit there, and just got to see a lot of the sights of Philly, met lots of friends there, many GoWithLess people there as well. They're all good friends now, which is great. Drove down to Washington, D.C. for a night with my parents, and then to Charlotte, North Carolina, where my mom's stepdad and sister's family and some of our best friends live. Drove over to Charleston for 3 nights, to Savannah for 2 nights, just lovely corners of the United States, our first time there. And we did 2 nights on our way to Austin, Texas. We were in Austin for roughly 10 days while we visited our doctors and attended the FinCon conference that we have attended, I think, 4 years now. I love that. Drove 2 nights to get to Denver, where we spent just a couple nights, left our car at the airport for a full month, hopped on another plane, went to Northern California. We made our way to Oakland, where our friends picked us up and brought us up to Sonoma. Had a fantastic stay with them. They're gourmet chefs. We ate unbelievable food and enjoyed Sonoma in the fall. We've been there, I think this is our 3rd time there in the fall, and we really it's just so beautiful. Then we went to San Francisco for a house sit with one of the best views we could imagine of the San Francisco Bay, down to Santa Cruz for 3 nights at an Airbnb, a nice little vacation, and up to San Francisco again for a really quickie 3-night house sit, our shortest in a long time. We got back on a flight to Denver, picked up our car, spent roughly 9 or 10 nights in Denver, where we saw our family, our kids, our friends, our storage unit, sold our car, and said goodbye to the United States for a little bit so we could hop on a plane to Mexico. Our first stop there was Cancun, with the beautiful turquoise water and soft sand for 6 nights in Cancun, using our points and miles from credit cards. And then our friends who are our expat Colorado friends in Puerto Morelos picked us up, and we spent close to a week there, which was just beautiful, and flew then back to Querétaro again, where we just stopped at the airport and drove immediately to San Miguel de Allende, where we are currently and on a 6-week house sit. So make sure you check out our Christmas in San Miguel de Allende video.
Now we're going to talk about the types of roofs we had over our head in 2021. We spent almost 70% of the year in house and pet sits. That's a shockingly large number for us. Most of the year we had planned to be in Airbnbs, but they were really expensive. For hotels, we were in those for about 48 nights. That allowed us to earn Hyatt Globalist status this year, so hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of that. We paid one friend for a 38-night stay, a little amount of rent, and then we were with friends and family for another 23 nights. And then this is also a shocking number for us because we were only in Airbnbs for 9 nights in 2021.
I think that the real shock here is the Airbnb is so low and the house sit is so high. So let me talk a little bit about what kind of pets we watched. We had 17 new furry friends this year, only cats and dogs we house sat, 10 dogs, 7 cats. We had 1 repeat house sit that isn't accounted here, 2 little dogs, so lots of furry friend time.
So the last of our data is going to be where we slept for 2021. So most of these low number of nights, the states that we slept in, this was when we were on the road. So ultimately we spent nights in 14 states, 2 unique countries, and 39 different beds. We spent a quarter of the year in Mexico, 94 nights. We spent almost a quarter of the year in Texas at 84 nights, and almost a quarter of the year in Maryland at 83 nights. So if you can't tell from all this information that we just shared with you, we love data. As a matter of fact, I think it took me over 30 hours to build the map that I put together. That was completely a labor of love. And so we hope that you enjoyed what we shared here today.
I love your map.
Well, thank you.
I love your map. I know that my parents appreciate that map as well. So here's what we want to know from you. What were your pros? What were your cons from 2021? We want to hear them down below. And when this video comes out, we should be just waking up for the first time in Puerto Vallarta, our very first time there. So we're super excited to show you a little bit of Puerto Vallarta in our next video. And I guess we'll see you next Wednesday. Hasta luego.